Awesome. What could be better? Ooh, our leftovers look delicious.
Oh yeah. As soon as you're done, as soon as you're on the strip, I will start eating breakfast. That's what's today. Steak, sourdough eggs.
Whoa.
Tasty.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, we ran the dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
Have the smoothie thing in there a second?
Mm-hmm. Morning. Here you go, babe.
Say bud.
Babe. Here you go, babe.
I think he said bud.
It would be weird if I called you bud.
It would be.
Hey, buddy. Hi. What's everyone having this morning? Hey, Becca. Hey, Shira. Sure. Regular size one. Whoa. Weird. Doesn't seem right.
We're fine.
Yeah? Just a little rusty.
I'm sure that's rest.
I cleaned them off before I put them in last night, though. Unless I'm just totally blind. Hello, good morning, everybody. What kind of coffee is everybody else having? Coke Zero.
That's not a coffee.
It's not, but, you know, not everybody is a coffee in the morning person, which continues to shock me to my core. Snapple? None of this is coffee. What's happening in the world? Dr. Pepper, you guys. Ah! What is happening? Good morning. Oh, you're welcome. Well, I mean, you didn't say thank you to me, so thank you to Becca, but I'm going to say, what's that gold taking? It looks pretty. Wait, this? This is our coffee pods. This is the Malesio coffee pod. It's my favorite one. Opened the package and they played with stickers for 10 minutes before realizing there was also slime. Oh, you got your package already? That's amazing. James and I never let you down. I'm gonna Nespresso it up soon. Good. Phew. Yeah, it's coffee. Yeah, this is coffee in here. It's coffee. I just saw gold and I was like, ooh. You're a gold girl? I'm a silver girl. I don't think I own anything gold now that I think of it. I'm not sure I ever will. I don't think it's in the cards for me. Not my color palette. I'm from the Netherlands and we're about to eat our evening meal. Whoa. Hey, Mary. How's the baby? Excited for Friday, but not at the same time. Why? It's only Monday. How can we already be... I love the taste, but coffee makes me sick. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, because if you didn't like the taste and it made you sick, that would be one thing, but like, that's really sad. I'm sorry. I'm so excited to get my dog on Friday. Ooh, that's fun. What kind of dog? Can it be Friday already? No, it cannot be Friday already. I have a lot to do this week. I do not have time for it to be Friday already, Cindy. I'm so sorry. That is not going to work well for me. I apologize in advance for any hardship this may cause you, but I need the week. There's too much going on in life to lose 5 days. She's a red fox mixed with a basset hound. Red fox, red lab. I've never heard of that. How interesting. Yeah, that sounds cool. I'm into it. Here you go, babe. Do you have a date for the next restock? Yes, October 2nd, and there's a video with all the details about it. Oh, that's amazing, Danielle. I'll check it out. There's a video on my feed with all the details. Yes, you made it a book up. Hi, Grace. So the short answer is October 2nd. The long answer is in the video. Wait, what did Becca say? I missed it. What did Becca say? No, we're not skipping Spooky Month. We will never skip Spooky Month. You're so welcome. No problem at all. No problemo. Can it be Friday and everyone's work is complete? Huh. You know, I'm willing to take that into consideration. What do you think, babe? Are you good?
If it was Friday, my work is complete, but you have no memory of it, which is it. But like everything's got completely perfect.
And I can see that it's done?
Yeah. But you have no memory of it.
I don't know. That would make me a little nervous. I don't know that I can do that. Is there going to be a version of Tattoo Ink in the next restock? Yes, it's going to be Tattoo Ink proper. I do need to order that scent though. Ooh, can somebody who knows me text me a message to add that to my list of scents that I need to order today? I need to order more candy cigarettes. Yeah, like regular Tattoo Ink, not like, she said, is there going to be a version of it? And I'm not changing anything. It's going to be exactly the same in this restock as it was in the last one. I just have to order the scent. Unless you guys want to change the scent, and then I won't order the scent, but it's up to you. I like the scent that it was. I'm happy with it, but if you guys want it to be like spooky season themed, I guess we could change it to something fall-ish. I guess we could. I'm probably going to go shopping with my friend, but I'm probably going to use it. Whoa, that sounds crazy, Snakey. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know. I do not know. Hey, Liz. All right, we are going to the slime room. We are going to read a book. We are gonna put our coffee down. Hold on, I just realized that when I filmed the last video, I got condensation right here and I need to clean up my mess. Okay, there we go. I don't know about the scent, the texture is on point. Yeah, the texture is amazing. I'm currently, it's pouring here. Oh, that sucks. It's very sunny here, look, very sunny. It was not very sunny yesterday, but is very sunny today. I don't know, what do you guys think? Did you guys like the scent of Tattoo Ink, or would you rather have it be a different scent for fall? We can always change it, there's no rules. I like it, but I like other scents too. Hello, business ducks. That's a very cute name. Like a little duck in a business suit going, I'm doing a business. I didn't get tattooing because I was uncertain of the scent. Interesting. Okay. So maybe we need to consider possibly changing it up for this restock. I think most people who like it for the texture and won't mind if it's changed. I admit that I didn't get it because of the scent too. Really? That's so interesting. Do you guys not like mint? Is that why? How do I fix a slime that's not stretchy and keeps dripping? What kind of slime? And where did you get it? Those are the two questions that will help me answer that. The texture and where you got it will definitely help with that. You're iffy on mint. Aha, okay, interesting. The reason that we made it mint is because most of the soaps in tattoo parlors are mint scented, and since it's tattooing. Were you on Arbitrary Canaries Live? Yep, that was me. Are you making slime today? Yes, later. Same, mint isn't for me. Interesting. I'm always game for fall. I was intrigued by the scent, but I just didn't have. Yeah, I love mint too, Anya. I love mint too. Yeah, it was candy cigarettes. Yeah, exactly. Candy cigarettes are like a sweet mint with a hint of chalkiness to it. It's really lovely, actually, if you like mint. If you don't like mint, it probably sucks. But if you do like mint, it's like one of the best ones, in my opinion. Mint chip ice cream is the best. I agree. Some people don't like it. It's one of those thinking putties from Walmart. You know what? Unfortunately, thinking putty is not slime, and there is no way to make it not rippy. Unfortunately, it's not made of glue or anything like that. I need a thick and glossy that's a different color. More coming in this restock, Becca, don't worry. I did love the candy cigarette scent, but I didn't get the slime to smell it with that. Yes. Let me shut the door because I think he's gonna listen to a football podcast and we don't need that. Any black slime will be stolen. Fair enough. What is thinking putty? Thinking putty. Oh, no problem, Stephanie. I'm sorry that that's not a great answer, but it is the truth. Thinking putty is a very firm putty that comes from the store. It comes in a little tin, and it's not meant to be stretched and pulled, really. It's more for squishing, and even then, to me, it's too hard. I'm not a fan. Unfortunately, I said once that I was not a fan here on my page, and then the person who owns the company who makes that one came and was like, why don't you like it? And I was like, sorry, bro. I didn't say anything mean. I just said, it's not my style, which is true. It's not my style. And that one super fan, oh my gosh, there is one super fan who's like, you can't say that about putty. I was like, well, it's an opinion, so I can. It is very hard. Yeah, it is, Stephanie. It's very hard. And there's no fixing it, unfortunately, because the ingredients are not the same. They're not malleable the way that the ingredients are in slime, specifically that brand. Yeah. Thinking putty isn't the best. It's hard and stiff. Yeah, it's just not for me. Some people really love it. And listen, live your best life. If you're a person who's into that, rock on with your bad self. You know what I mean? It's just not my particular preference. I like, it's not like silly putty at all, actually, Chloe. It's much harder. And because silly putty's closer to slime, actually. Silly putty you can pull and stretch and you can move and spread. Silly putty is actually probably closer to if you mixed a thick and glossy with clay. I wonder why we haven't done that. Huh. I did too, Anya, I did too. One time, you guys, before we start reading, I'm gonna tell you something funny. Okay, so who knows about my music mixing videos? Does anyone here know about my music mixing videos from way back in the day, 2017 music mixing video, Sasha? Yes, I am Business Ducks. Yeah, there's one that I just posted this morning. That one is meant to be for the restock if it goes well. We'll see what happens with it, right? The clay with words kind of, so music mixing videos were a thing where I made these music videos, making slime, yada yada and all that. And one of the things that I did was I was trying to make a Newsies music mixing video way back in the day, because I used to let people pick the songs that they wanted me to make the next music mixing video out of. And at the time, Newsies was wildly popular, right? Because it had just come out a little while before. It was still super popular. So I was like, okay, the musical, not the movie. Obviously the movie came back out 20 years before, but still, or I guess 10, whatever. Anyway, I was making it and I wanted to do, Stephanie, if you pay for a custom, you can have anything you want. Absolutely. And so, silly putty, you used to be able to do that thing with newspaper where you could get a print of it. Does anyone remember doing that? Yeah, okay. So I thought to myself, in a Newsies music mixing video, wouldn't it be cool? Because I had a newspaper from the actual Broadway production of Newsies, not a fake newspaper, but a prop. I had multiple newspaper props from Newsies the musical, and I was like, what if I take a page from that and start the music mixing video making one of those prints of the slime of the newspaper? And this was way back when I had first started making these, so I hadn't done as much testing as I have today on slime. And I was like, that would be such a cool story if it's dun 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 dun, boom, and then it was a print of the newspaper into the slime. I'm here to tell you it didn't work. So slime does not do what silly putty does in those cases. There were a lot of really, really angry people when they found out that I did that to a prop from a Broadway show. And I was like, listen, I have more. I have multiple stacks of those newspapers. But it was funny. It was funny. Yeah, people get really mad at things for no reason. They're like, oh no, you ruined a prop. I'm like, well, I owned the prop and I was never going to give it to you. So you weren't going to have it anyway. It was my prop. I did not ruin their property. I ruined my own property. I own it. Yeah, it was mine. Becca's right. I ruined my own property and they need to calm down about that. People get really incensed when you do things. When I first started making playbill flowers and I would cut up the playbills to make the flowers, people were like, how could you cut up that playbill? I was like, well, it's my playbill, so technically I can do whatever I want with it. That's what happens when you own something inanimate. You can do whatever you want with it at that point. As long as you're not hurting anyone, you're good to go. They do. They think they own everything. I was like, first of all, it's not a person. I'm not hurting it. You're cutting it up. I was like, I am, but I own it. It's mine. It's my playbill. It's my paper, actually, is what it is. It's my piece of paper. I'm going to cut this piece of paper that I own, and I'm going to turn it into art. And they don't know how many playbills there are there. And what I kept telling them, I was like, so many of the playbills that I use for playbill flowers were going to end up in a landfill if I didn't turn them into art. So you should just be thrilled that they're not going in the trash. You know what I mean? Because so many shows used to give me their extra playbills at the end of a run that were definitely going in the dumpster. No question. And I was like, let me recycle them for you. I'll turn them into art, you know? And they were like, cool, here, have them. And they used to just give me stacks and stacks of unused playbills from shows that didn't sell out. You know? Like, because if you think about it, this may sound stupid, but what are playbills? That's not stupid at all, honey. Playbills are the programs they give out for free at Broadway and off-Broadway shows, specifically. You don't have them in your country. That's why you've never heard of them. So it's not stupid at all. It's just a program, but it's the free ones here in specifically Broadway and off-Broadway shows. How many people have gone to a show and never looked at the programs ever? Exactly. Exactly. They leave them on the floor. It's dumb. Anyway, let's read, because I got to get to work today. We've got a lot to do today. Oh, see, the boyfriend's making a smoothie. So for anyone just joining, we are reading Enchanted to Meet You by Meg Cabot. Oh yeah, no problem, Business Doc. See you later. The previous chapters are mostly already up on the YT. The most recent chapters will be put up later today, so you'll be able to catch up on anything you need to catch up on. I'm not going to start reading until the noise stops, obviously. I'm not going to do that to anybody. Cool. So, one thing you need to know if you're just joining us is that this book has 3 modes. Mode number 1 is Jessica in present day. Mode number 2 is Jessica in journal entries from when she was in high school. Yes, grape soda. Hey, Tiffany, how are you? And mode number 3 is Derek's perspective, who is the witch dude who came into town and told her she's got to save the world. So that's where we're at. Okay. So this chapter is Derek. So let's get reading. Any spells cast by a witch must be to seek harmony with, not harm, humans and the earth. Rule number 2 of the 9 rules for the World Council of Witches. Derek gulped down the remainder of the coffee in his compostable cup from Wake Up West Harbor. Ooh, coffee. He had to admit it wasn't the worst coffee he'd ever had. It was actually pretty good. Crunch, I'm going to be live this afternoon making slime. Not tonight, but this afternoon, because tonight we have plans. Morning, I'm at Target and I can't find the paint you were talking about. Am I blind? Go to the craft section. It's called Mondo Llama. No, Mondo Llama. Yeah, Mondo Llama. Either Mondo Llama or Mondo Llama. Probably like 3-ish, Crunch, 3 p.m.-ish. It's in little bottles that are like about this. They're circular, like cylindrical bottles. They're about this big and there's a gajillion colors of them. I think it's acrylic or craft paint. I'm not 100% sure, but there's just lines and lines and lines of them. And they're in the craft section with all the other Mondo Llama stuff. It's usually the aisle over. It's the aisle between the office supplies and the party supplies. It's usually the aisle between those at all the Targets I've been to, like pretty much all of them. And I go to a lot of Targets because I buy out all their glue because they have the cheapest glue gallons. It's true. Especially if you have a Target card to get that extra 5% off. The glue gallons at Target are the cheapest you're going to find, in my opinion. You're welcome, Lizzie. Okay. He also felt much more awake, which was a relief after the miserable night he'd spent in the cramped seat of his rental car outside Jessica's cottage. It does say acrylic. Okay, cool. Yeah, it is acrylic then. I just don't have it within reach right now, so I couldn't look at it. I was just going off memory. At least now he was better able to focus his gaze on the front doors of West Harbor High, through which he watched her disappear an hour earlier. For such a relatively small town, West Harbor seems to have a decent high school. This one boasted an 1,100-seat auditorium, newly resodded football field, and a 4-bay auto shop garage with 2 lifts. I hit the after back-to-school sale. Yeah, that's the goods. That's the goods, Christy. Definitely do that. He only knew this last part because he could see the lift from where he parked, since the bay doors had been open to let in the sea breeze. Some of the kids had even gone out of shop to vape and enjoy the midday sun on their faces. You should not be vaping. At least until that sun suddenly disappeared behind a dark bank of clouds. The wind picked up too, right around the time he received a text from Jessica saying that she thought the girl was the bringer of light. The wind sent autumn leaves streaming past his car and caused the kids to duck hastily inside. The American and Connecticut state flags, which had been hanging limply from the pole outside the school's front door, swelled and snapped in the gale. The thunder rumbled, not in the distance, but seemingly directly above him. Derek decided to recheck the weather app and could have sworn that it told him only a few hours earlier that this day would be clear. Yes, it still said conditions in West Harbor were sunny with 0% chance of precipitation. What was going on? Was he used to the changeable weather? He was used to the changeable weather conditions of the plains out west, but no one had warned him that it could be like this on the East Coast as well. Was this because they were near the sea, or were more insidious forces at work? Then he heard a bang. He swiveled in his seat, as much as he could in the confined space, and to make sure that the kids in the auto shop were all right, he turned a bit and tuned out the sound that had come from there. It came from the side door in the opposite direction. Through that side door burst Jessica, a panicked look on her face. She ran across the courtyard towards the parking lot as if she was being chased, though as far as Derek could see, there was no one behind her. There was a blinding flash of light, so bright that it illuminated the entire schoolyard. Thank you, darling. Thunder boomed again, this time sounding as if it was directly over the school. The first hailstone hit. Derek had been in hailstorms before. They happen frequently out west, but not as often as snowstorms. Not East Coast weather is totally calm and totally predictable. Haha, very funny, Becca. Very funny. I wonder what he put in the smoothie this morning. Could it be delicious? We'll see. Peanut butter. He'd rarely ever seen hailstones this big, however. The first one landed with a thud on the hood of his rental car. He stared at it in confusion, thinking maybe that some kids were playing baseball out over on the field he'd seen behind the school and someone had just hit a really long homer. That's how big this hailstone was. It was baseball-sized. Then, when he saw the dent in his hood, he realized what was actually falling out of the dark gray clouds overhead, and he glanced at Jessica. She had frozen in the middle of the courtyard, halfway between the door she just burst through and the parking lot. He could practically hear the wheels of her mind spinning as she tried to decide which was faster, a dash back into the school or her own car. The school. Get back inside, he growled, switching on the ignition of his own vehicle as hailstones continued to smash all around it, and some on top of it, judging by the thumps that he was hearing on the roof. But for some reason, Jessica had decided it was safer to make a run for her car. She began sprinting across the school courtyard as hail crashed down around her like rocks hurled from some unseen catapult. "What are you doing, Jessica?" Derek smashed his foot down on the gas pedal. For such a small car, the Fiat had a surprising amount of pickup. "What the hell are you doing?" She made it clear that she was making the wrong choice. She'd only gotten as far as the sidewalk when the largest of the hailstones began to fall, smashing to the ground around her as if targeted directly at her. Fortunately, there seemed to be something hard in the tote bag she lifted over her head. It was acting as a protective shield against the projectiles, saving her from a concussion. But it couldn't protect the rest of her body, which was taking a beating, at least until Derek steered the car up over the curb and onto the sidewalk. He slammed onto the brakes and then leaned over to throw the passenger side open. "Get in." Jessica hurled herself into the little car, slamming the passenger's door closed behind her. He wasn't sure she even knew who was behind the wheel. "Drive," was all she said, panting hard as the hail pelted the tiny vehicle. "Get out of here! Drive! Drive!" Derek didn't ask questions then. He jammed on the gas, sending them skidding across the hail-slick sidewalk and bumping down the curb back into the circular driveway. Then he headed straight for the school's exit. All the time, thunder crashed above and hail pelted the car. "Are you all right?" he asked, sending her what worried glances he could spare from the road as he tried to maneuver through the storm. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine." She wasn't moving like someone with significant injuries. She lowered the tote bag to the floor of the car and slipped on her seatbelt. Pushing her damp, dark curls from her face, she looked over at him in confusion. "What are you doing here?" "Thank you for saving my life, Derek," he said as he drove sarcastically. he said as he drove, sarcastically. It doesn't work great, but it works. He had no idea where he was going. Every street in this town looked the same to him, each dotted with picturesque colonial-style houses and shops, except where the land met the sea. There it was dotted with touristy lobster shacks or docks. But it didn't really matter, because right now, everywhere he looked, all he saw was hail. They were driving at a crawl while the wipers worked frantically to clear the stones away so that he could see. A spidery crack had begun to form in the windshield where a larger stone had pelted into a hole. He'd have quite the story to tell the rental car people. "Oh, you're welcome, Jessica," he continued in the same sarcastic tone. "It was my pleasure. I'm so glad that I could be there to rescue you when the rift beneath your torn town opened up and unleashed a meteoric death upon you. Does that kind of thing happen often around here? Because weirdly, they didn't mention it in TripAdvisor." She grimaced as she properly tended to one of her knees. This wasn't the rift. It was Rosalie Hopkins. What? He slammed on the brakes, not because he was shocked at what she said, but because the car in front of them had stopped. She nodded. "I didn't see her at first, but it turned out she was there the whole time that I was talking to Esther." Did she see you? He dreaded the phone call he knew he was going to have to make, explaining all of this, even though none of it was his fault. "Did she see you talking to the kid?" "No, calm down. She was at the table around the corner trying to get girls to sign up to be this year's Harvest Princess, whatever that is." "Why?" Jessica continued to massage her knee. "What would be the big deal if she saw me talking to Esther? Rosalie's a member of the World Council of Witches. Do they not know about the rift and the prophecy?" He'd been sworn to secrecy, but how could he not tell her? It had to be easy to shrug, and then he'd stay silent when he hadn't met her. It had been easy to shrug and say he would stay silent when he hadn't met her, but now that he had, keeping the truth to himself felt like a betrayal. Yeah, they do know about it, and they have their own theories about it," he settled for saying. "We're hoping to confirm our opinion on Esther before sharing the rest with the witching world. Would you care to tell me why Rosalie Hopkins would want to unleash a hailstorm upon you?" Jessica shrugged and pulled her cell phone from her bag and then began swiftly texting someone. "Rosalie and I didn't get along so well in high school, that's all. And sometimes when she sees me now, she's reminded of it and she gets upset." "That wasn't upset, Jessica. That was homicidal. She was trying to kill you." She continued to text. "Oh, don't be dramatic." "I know. West Harbor is sitting on the brink of disaster, but has your entire town lost its collective mind as well?" The assault in the sky had gone from massive hailstones to rain. It was pouring, but at least the clouds had lightened, and now he could see that the reason the car in front of them had stopped was because the traffic lights at the intersection were out, making it a four-way stop. Every car was patiently waiting their turn. Rosalie's assault had caused a city-wide power outage. "That woman just tried to murder you in front of my eyes, and you're saying I'm being dramatic?" She turned her brown eyes toward him. They were so big and so many fathoms deep. He felt as if he could dive into them. "What do you want me to say? That Rosalie Hopkins is a storm witch who can control the weather and that she occasionally uses that power to intentionally hurt people? Yes. But because she's a board member of the World Council of Witches, she's never gotten caught or even remotely reprimanded for doing so. Also, yes, by the way." Wait. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Are you telling me that Rosalie has done this before?" She snorted. "Oh, yeah, this is nothing. Do you remember the Valentine's Day blizzard of 2006? "Why would I remember the Valentine's Day blizzard of 2006? "Yeah, well, because that year we got 30 inches of snow in one weekend." "Jessica, I'm from Montana. We get 30 inches of snow every weekend." "Oh. Well, that much snow is pretty rare here in Connecticut. It only happened the one time in my memory, and that's because Rosalie was all mad at me over a love spell." "A love spell?" He narrowed his eyes at her. She hadn't struck him as the type to dabble in love spells. "Why was she mad at you over a love spell?" "Because I gave it to her and it didn't work." "How was that your fault?" A car horn sounded, long and loud, from behind them. The electricity to the traffic light had come on again, and he failed to notice because he'd been looking into Jess's eyes. "It's a long story," she said. "You've got a green light. If you need to make a left here, we'll be at my house. I'm sorry, but I need to check if my cat is okay." She waved at the cell phone she was holding. I already heard from my assistant manager that Enchantments is fine. It didn't even rain downtown. The entire storm was focused on this side of West Harbor, but Pi isn't at the shop, so I'm a little worried. He turned left. Isn't Rosalie a little old to still be upset about a crush that she had in high school? He asked as they pulled onto her street. I know, right? Jessica rolled her eyes. But it's slightly more complicated than that. Are you living in this car? Startled, he looked from the hail-capped piles of leaves around her street and glanced at her instead. What? Why would you ask that? Because she pulled a pile of compostable coffee cups from Wake Up West Harbor from the compartment on the inside panel of the passenger's door. There are so many of these in here, and your bag is in the back seat. And this book, his copy of Plutarch's Lives, and that smell. Alarmed, he asked, What smell? I don't know, she said, sniffing delicately. It's so familiar. I think it's cannoli? Have you been eating a cannoli in here? No. It wasn't his fault. Wake Up West Harbor had such fine selections of pastries in addition to such good coffee. It was a cheese Danish. Oh, yeah. Those cheese Danishes at Wake Up West Harbor are hard to resist. Wait, stop. This is my house. She pointed at her cottage so he didn't have to pretend he didn't know which one it was. The storm did not appear to have done any harm to the cheerful yellow exterior or the already weathered shingled roof. Even the bright marigolds on either side of the steps leading to her front porch looked unbattered by the wind or hail. It looks okay. Jessica heaved a sigh of relief. Thank God, because I'm positive my car is destroyed. Do you want to come inside for a minute? I need to check and see if Pi is all right. He has a cat door in the back, and I hope he had the good sense to use it. Did he want to come inside? He hadn't been inside a home, a real home, not a hotel room or some European villa for the bunkhouse at his father's ranch, and that hardly qualified as a home, for a really long time. He couldn't agree fast enough, though he seemed to try to stay casual about it. Yeah, no, I guess I could come inside, he said. Do you have any coffee? Of course. I suppose coffee is the least that I owe you for getting me out of there, she said as she unbuckled her seatbelt and opened the door to exit the tiny car. Though I wouldn't have been there in the first place if it weren't for you. Sorry, but it's your town I'm trying to... He bit off the rest of what he was going to say when he stepped outside of her car and winced in pain. He bit off the rest of what he was going to say when he saw her step out of the car and wince in pain and clutch at the knee she'd been rubbing. In a split second, he was at her side, offering a supportive arm. What is it? He asked. Are you hurt? It's nothing. It wasn't nothing. She was grimacing. I think I just twisted my knee a little when I dove into the car. That's all. Let me look at it, he said. She laughed and rolled her eyes, though it was clear from the way she was limping as they made their way up the marigold-lined path to her front porch that she was indeed in pain. I told you, it's fine. You're not going to look at my twinged knee. A second later, however, she stumbled and let out a little cry of pain. That's it. Derek leaned over and scooped her up, sweeping her into his arms and carrying her up the steps of her front door. What are you doing? Her voice rose. Fortunately, none of her neighbors appeared to be home, or if they were used to hearing her yell, and none of them seemed disturbed by it. Put me down! I understand your embarrassment, he said in the same calm voice he used to speak to agitated animals on the ranch, but you shouldn't be walking on it. This is a medical emergency, and you're only making it worse. Could you please unlock your door? My hands are full at the moment. It's not a medical emergency, she said, but she did in fact reach into her bag and pull out the keys, and then insert them into the front door's lock. And I'm perfectly capable of walking. Well, it's better to stay off of it until it's been medically assessed. You're going to throw your back out, he grunted. Yeah, not likely. If only she'd seen what his father had forced him to lift regularly back on the ranch. Then, the inside of her house looked exactly the way he'd expected it to, small and cheerfully decorated, with all the original wainscoting and moldings as it was in the classic 1920s seaside cottage style, though the sea was only a tidal estuary a block away, and a chimney had been added during some long-ago effort to winterize the place. Floor-to-ceiling bookcases were built on either side of the fireplace and crammed with books of every size and length, from tomes on witchcraft, alchemy, herbology, Italian cooking, sewing, fashion history, the occult, and celebrity memoirs, even murder in the British countryside. She'd furnished the living room in a beachy pale blue and white, so that the black cat curled comfortably into a ball on her sofa stood out in sharp contrast to all the pastels in the room. When it raised its head and looked at Derek, It raised its head when Derek deposited its owner on the sofa cushion beside it and let out a sleepy meow. There, Derek said. The cat's fine. And so is its owner. Jessica pushed back some of the dark curls that had fallen into her face and smiled down at the cat beside her, which was stretching luxuriously in place and letting out an enormous yawn. Yeah, I guess he is. Thank you. To the cat, she said, scratching beneath his chin. Hello, Pie. You're a very good boy. Thank you for staying home like a gentleman and not getting killed by the hail. The cat looked pleased by this praise and stretched out some more. To Derek, Jessica said, But listen, you can't go around grabbing women like that without their permission. I didn't grab you. He felt a little wounded that she wasn't more impressed with his chivalry. I carried you because you were hurt. I already explained. It was a medical emergency. Was it, though? Or are you so enamored of my body that you couldn't wait to get your hands on it? She was joking, but he understood now that she used humor as a defense mechanism when she was uncomfortable, so he responded in kind, hoping it would set her at ease. Yes, he said as he sat down on the couch beside her, only slightly disturbing the cat, who gave him a suspicious glance, and then resettled a few inches away. Gently lifted the leg that she'd injured, placing her foot on the driftwood coffee table in front of them. This whole thing, including the storm, was all a part of an elaborate plan I concocted so that I could ravage you. Ha! Her dark eyes danced. She was suppressing a smile, too, so he knew his attempt at humor had worked. I knew you were lying when you said you weren't here to implant light in me. He nodded and reached for the wide hem of her trouser leg. Well, now that you've got that out of your system, let me look at your knee. No! The smile vanished, and she leaned forward to swat at his hand. My knee is fine, and there's no need for you to... But it was too late. He'd peeled back the flowy material of her pant leg and seen what was causing her pain. A red welt already purpling around the sides. Jessica, he said as his eyes snapped wide with concern. Did one of those hailstones... It's fine. She tried to cover the welt by tugging down the hem of her pants. I'll just put some ice on it later. Don't worry about it. It's not fine, Jessica. Let me help you. Before she could stop him, he laid his fingertips gently across the warm, tender skin of her knee. And we all know that he has magical powers, so we know that's going to be fine. All right, so the next chapter is also present day, and it's Jessica, but it's Monday, and we got to get to work. So I'm going to hit the road and head to doing some more order packing so I can take some more orders to the post office today. That hurt my knee. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It sounds not great. It is still Monday. We didn't wish it into the future. But I will be live later to make slime with you guys after I pack. I'm going to do some more custom orders today. Hopefully the thick and glossy glue comes in because a lot of people wanted thick and glossy custom orders this month. We'll see what we get through. And pretty much the whole shebang of it. See you all later.